In this intriguing analysis, we will explore something surreal, but at the same time very interesting and fun. Can you imagine Nayib Bukele being president of the USA? This imagination exercise is based on the policies and approaches implemented by Bukele in his country, covering key areas such as security, economy, health, education, international relations, and institutional reforms. Will you join me? Well, make yourself comfortable, grab a burger, and enjoy. Here we go. First of all, what measures has Nayib adopted in El Salvador? A crackdown on gangs in the face of criminality in his country, including the construction of a mega jail, by way, the largest on the continent. In a U.S. context, we could translate this into stricter border security policies and decisive actions against urban violence, incorporating advanced technologies for surveillance and interagency coordination. So we can deduce that many neighborhoods such as Englewood in Chicago or Skid Row in Los Angeles would be much more controlled by the police and the crime rate would drop considerably. This would be very positive indeed. President Bukele has committed significant resources to infrastructure projects in El Salvador. In the U.S., we could anticipate a similar push on roads, bridges, and information technology. His pro-business approach and reduction of red tape could influence policies that encourage investment and economic development. Bukele's effective response to the pandemic could be reflected in greater preparedness for future health emergencies in the U.S., with investments in public health systems and streamlining processes for procuring medical supplies. In short, public health would be better than it is today. What about education? The educational programs implemented by Bukele in El Salvador could inspire policies that promote equal opportunities in education in the U.S., with a particular emphasis on technology and distance education. In addition, technical and vocational training programs could be promoted to meet the demands of the labor market. Areas where education is more difficult for U.S. children in marginalized neighborhoods could benefit from this new Salvadoran president. By the way, as a random fact, Nayib Bukele's paternal grandparents were Palestinian. Let's talk about gangs. Bukele's mano dura approach against these could trigger ethical debates in the U.S., considering human rights and the need to address the underlying causes of violence. Broader prevention and rehabilitation programs could be implemented. However, we know he would have many haters and many movements against his stance on criminals. Maybe in El Salvador, being a smaller country, he can handle that pressure, but in the United States, let me doubt it a bit. Social media. Something very characteristic of Nayib is his presence, especially on Twitter. He seems to love it. We have seen him being very close with his followers, updating data of the country, or following up on the reduction of the crime rate that El Salvador has been having. Although we have also seen him with the occasional verbal fight with presidents of other countries. Because of this, tensions with the opposition in El Salvador could be similar in the U.S. A Bukele-like leader would have to work on the ability to foster dialogue, have a somewhat more traditional image, and above all collaboration in the U.S. multi-party system, confronting the existing political polarization. Bukele could bypass traditional media channels, opting for more immediate and personal communication. This shift could intensify political polarization by challenging established norms of communication and generate debates about transparency and the decision-making process. Bukele has faced criticism for concentrating power in El Salvador. If a similar leader were to adopt this approach in the United States, we might expect debates about checks and balances and the independence of institutions. Tensions with the judiciary and the legislative assembly could raise concerns about respect for the separation of powers and the rule of law. Bukele's direct and blunt style in the international arena could translate into more frank and less diplomatic diplomacy. This could affect U.S. relations with other countries, generating tensions with those accustomed to a more traditional approach. Reevaluation of trade treaties and international agreements would be possible, with an emphasis on securing conditions beneficial to the United States. In addition, the search for new partnerships or rapprochements with powers such as China, Russia, or the European Union could challenge the predominance of certain alliances. Crisis and natural disaster management. A significant challenge for Bukele in El Salvador may require a swift and decisive approach. Streamlining government response and emergency management would be crucial. Faster decision-making and less conditioning by traditional diplomacy could characterize the response to conflict or emergencies. digital diplomacy could become a significant component, using digital platforms to communicate directly with foreign leaders and the global citizenry, although this could generate controversy and misunderstanding. In terms of leadership style, this scenario represents a significant change compared to previous presidents. The relationship with the opposition could become more tense, and direct and confrontational rhetoric could intensify political polarization. Diplomacy, international relations, and government communication would be transformed with a more autonomous and less conventional approach, impacting the image and position of the United States on the world stage. The hypothetical scenario presents several future possibilities, from an intensification of political polarization to changes in citizen participation and the reconfiguration of international relations. A Bukele-inspired leadership could have a profound impact on how the United States perceives itself and is perceived by the world. The influence of social media on decision-making and government communication could define a new era in U.S. politics. Do you envision a radical change in the way security, economics, and international relations are approached? How do you think Bukele's direct and frank style would influence political dynamics and government communication in the country? We want to know what you think. Leave us your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with news and analysis like this one. See you next time.